Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today we're kind of continuing my series of where I'm ranking Doctor Who by decade. We're going to be looking at the 1970s today, and I'm going to be doing kind of a spin-off idea related to something one of my patrons, Trevor Hicks, suggested to me about looking at stories that were the weakest story in different seasons of Doctor Who. Today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be ranking what I consider to be the weakest story in each season of 70s Doctor Who from worst to best. So each 70s season's weakest story from worst to best. This is really tricky because I think the 70s is the best decade of Doctor Who. It's my favorite decade of Doctor Who, but I do objectively think it is the best decade of Doctor Who. We have two of the best doctors, some of the best writers, some of the best directors, best showrunners, best script editors the show has ever had, to the point to where a lot of times the weakest story in a season is still a good story. It might not be a stone cold classic, but it's still a good story. We're going to run into that a lot on this list. So we have, 11 places, because there are 11 seasons in 70s Doctor Who, seasons 7 through 17. So we're going to go through, I'm going to tell you what story I picked as the weakest from each season, and then I'm going to rank them. So real quick, we're going to go over the stories we're talking about, and then I'll rank them. So we have The Ambassadors of Death, Claws of Axons, The Time Monster, Planet of the Daleks, The Monsters of Pelidon, The Suntaran Experiment, The Android Invasion, The Hand of Fear, The Invisible Enemy, The Power of Prowl, surprise, surprise, and Nightmare of Eden. Those are the stories we're going to be talking about because those are the stories that I personally think are the weakest of each season. Again, that's very subjective. This is a very subjective topic because not only is what you think the weakest story of each season is very subjective, ranking them afterwards is very subjective. So at the bottom, in 11th place is, to no surprise to anyone, The Power of Prowl. You guys know how I feel about Prowl. It's just one of those, the budget's not there, it shouldn't have been attempted. Robert Holmes himself said it wasn't a good idea. But Graham Williams wanted to have the largest creature the show had ever had. Power, you guys know I don't like Power of Prowl. I'm not going to really talk into it. I do think it is the weakest episode in all of 70s Doctor Who. Next on the list is The Hand of Fear, actually. The first 3 episodes of The Hand of Fear are really good. Let's be clear, I love the female Eldrad a lot as well, and Liz is putting in a great performance in this one. It all falls apart with episode 4. Let's be honest, I think a lot of you would agree, it all falls apart. Now, it saves itself a little bit with the actual companion departure when Sarah leaves. That is really well done, and I love the fact that Tom and Elizabeth pretty much improvised most of that themselves. That's a really good companion departure, it really is. But the episode up until that, not so good. The male Eldrad, nothing against Steven, it just doesn't work for me. The scene of him tripping over the scarf is so laughably bad, it takes me out of it. It just falls apart, and this is just kind of where it ends up for me. But most of you guys know I tend to find season 14 a little overrated anyway. Next on the list is The Invisible Enemy. Now, The Invisible Enemy is not bad, and it was really hard for me to pick between The Invisible Enemy and The Invasion of Time. I kind of flip-flop back and forth on those. I prefer Underworld to both of them, honestly. I think a lot of times Invasion of Time would be at the bottom. Just for today, it's The Invisible Enemy. I do enjoy the updated effects on The Invisible Enemy. The guy playing the inventor of K9 is great. Just this one doesn't really wow me. It's fine, but it's just one of those I'd go back every now and then to. It just doesn't reach out and grab me. Next on the list is The Claws of Axons, my least favorite Pertwee story, and it's a testament to the Pertwee era that I still don't think it's like terrible. I don't even know if I'd call it bad. It's edging into fine. It's got things I like about it. I've talked about Axons before. The FBI guy tracking the master is good. Delgado's putting in a good performance. Him and John always go well off each other. The design of the Axons in their true form looks pretty cool. Their humanoid form I don't care for. The story itself, like I said, it's my least favorite Pertwee story, but it's still perfectly watchable. Next on the list is Planet of the Daleks, my least favorite Pertwee Dalek story, probably my least favorite 70s Dalek story. I just don't get into this one. It's okay, but it has a couple things it sets up that never goes anywhere, like the Daleks trying to become invisible. That kind of gets dropped quick. Although that episode 1 cliffhanger is a really good episode 1 cliffhanger. But yeah, I never really like going back to this one much. Every now and then. Next on the list is Nightmare of Eden. And we're getting into good stories. Nightmare of Eden is fine. I've only watched it the one time, to be fair, and I did watch it with the updated effects. I've never watched it with just the regular effects, so maybe I wouldn't like it as much. But aside from the guy doing the weird German accent, it's fine. It's a good watch. I'm still not quite ready to go back and give it a rewatch yet, but I can see myself going back and doing a second take on it and see if I like it maybe better or worse another time. But it was fine. It was fine. Next on the list is, where is it? Oh yeah, there we go. The Ambassadors of Death. And again, my only problem with this one is the length. The story itself is fine. I love the idea of friendly aliens. Just the length. And it's got Liz in it, Liz Shaw. And I like Liz Shaw as a companion a lot. So it's nice to get more of her. I just wish that, I wish the ending was maybe a little longer. The ending just wraps up a little too quickly. I wish it was a little longer. So yeah, that's weird to say I wish the ending was a little longer, while at the same time I need the actual story to be like 2 or 3 episodes shorter. But you guys know what I mean. And then next on the list is the Time Monster. This one and Ambassadors of Death are really close. Matter of fact, I had them reversed written down. I just flip-flop them as I'm doing the list. They're really close. Time Monster's fine. I think it's underrated. It's got some naft effects like the Kronos bird creature, but it's classic Who. And then the scene at the end when they meet Kronos and it's the woman, that's really weird. That's trippy. Like, did I take some shrooms and don't know it as I'm watching the TV? That's trippy. But it's good. It's got a lot of nice stuff going on in it. Plus, again, Delgado's putting in a good performance. Ingrid Pitt is looking fantastic, and she's doing a good job with her performance. I love the guy who plays the King of Atlantis in it. I love that guy. I live for that guy. He is great. I love when the Master tries to hypnotize him, and he just laughs. I like him. And, of course, we have David Prowse as the Minotaur. We don't really need the Minotaur, but it's cool to have David Prowse in it. I like the Time Monster. Not one that, I want to just rewatch all the time, but I enjoyed it. And the restoration on the box set looks so good. So good. Next on the list is Monster of Pelidon, higher than I expected. A lot of that is because I really enjoy the character work done with Sarah Jane. This is one of her best written stories, like how well she is written in the story. She feels like a very three-dimensional, well-written character in it. I like the way she's dressed her, like that more professional hairstyle she has, the more maybe professional dress isn't quite the right word, but I like her outfit she wears in this a lot. It does a lot for Sarah, and I love Sarah Jane a lot. I love the already established rapport between her and the Doctor. Sarah and 3 actually get on well. I know most people think of Sarah and 4 together, but Sarah and 3 get on really well. And then I like a lot of the performances in it. The actress playing the Queen is doing a good job. And the guy playing the engineer, I really like him. I know he's also in the Space Pirates. I like him a lot too. It's a good story. I mean, I still think Curse is a little better. And I love the fact Curse is shorter. I do think it's a little long at 6 parts. But I think Monster of Pelidon's fine. Number 2 on the list is the Suntaran Experiment. This is a great little 2-parter. It's really nice location work, although I wish it had been shot on film. This is one of those rare occasions when the location work was shot all on the outdoor videotapes, unfortunately. Although, to be fair, the film evidence would probably not exist anymore anyway. But it would have looked so gorgeous if it had been shot on film, because this is all location work. It would have looked so good. But it still looks nice. I enjoy the story. Kenneth is definitely the best Suntaran. It's the same guy, I believe, who played him in The Time Warrior. He's the best. I absolutely love him. Some of the fight scenes at the end aren't impressive, mainly because Kenneth wasn't in the best of health, and Tom Baker had broken his collarbone filming famously. But considering the difficulties, they made it work well enough. And it's a two-parter that knows it only needs to be a two-parter. It doesn't try to be more than that. It's a great filler two-parter to set up for Genesis, and I enjoy it for that. And then number one on the list, definitely one of the best, weakest stories of a season in all of Doctor Who is the Android Invasion. The Android Invasion is great. Not just fine, not just good, it's great. It is a great story. It just happens to be in season 13, which season 13, I do think is probably the best season of Doctor Who ever made. And if there is one weakest story in a season that is still a classic, it is this one. Just all of season 13 is so good. Planet of Evil is just a banger. Terror of the Zygons, Pyramids of Mars, Brains of Morbius, Seeds of Doom, just all of them are just so good. So there's not any bad stories or any mediocre stories or any good stories. They're all great or above. All of them in season 13. It's just a masterpiece. It is Doctor Who's masterpiece season of classic and modern Who. If I had to pick the one season I considered to be Doctor Who's masterpiece, it's season 13. It has to be. Everything works. Everything works. The weakest story to me is the Android Invasion, but it's still great. Great script, great acting, great directing, just a great story. I know Ham would appreciate that, seeing that Android Invasion won that. I mean, if I was ranking all of the weakest stories from a season series in all of Doctor Who, this would still probably be number one. Like, what's the best, weakest story of a season in all of Doctor Who? This one would still probably be number one, because it's still such a great story. So that was me ranking what I considered to be the weakest story from each season of 70's Doctor Who from worst to best. I want to know what you think and how you would rank your list. Keep in mind, your list might involve different stories. So comment down below and let me know. Other things to do. Don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button and the bell for notifications so you never miss out on another video. I also have a Patreon if you would like to support me on that. There's a link to that down in the description below. Several different tiers to choose from, with my entry-level tier being only $2 a month. I want to give a shout out to some of my top tier patrons, Stephen Crane, Colin Coney, and Finn Perkins. I appreciate their support, as I do the support of all of my patrons. I also have a P.O. box if there's anything you would like to send me to look at and review. YouTube memberships are now available as well, several different tiers there. And a link to my Amazon wish list is also down below. Most importantly, though, thank you for watching.